Hey everybody, this is Ro16 bringing you the round of 16 of the ABC-Mart MSL. This is Jaedong versus Reality, and I'm also going to be bringing you Hyuk versus Calm. But if you want to see the entire MSL round of 16, make sure you're also subscribed to Deja Vu 119, who's doing Light versus Mind and Stork versus Hydra. Both of those matches are also awesome, and we set up, these are the day 1 matches. We also split up the day 2 matches as well. So Jaedong got here 2-0, beating C and Flash, two expert Terrans, two very, very good Terrans who are historically better than Reality. Reality got here 2-1. He lost to Shine, who is a Zerg who's pretty good. I wouldn't say he's anywhere close to Jaedong's skill level. He lost to Shine, then he beat Cal, then he beat Shine in the rematch, and just overall, Jaedong Zerg versus Terran looked transcendent, remarkable, amazing, sexy, whatever you want to say. Maybe not the last one because that's a little creepy, but Jaedong looked so good playing against C and against Flash. Some of the best lurker control I've ever seen in his game versus Flash. Reality's Terran versus Zerg looked really passive and kind of bad in the first game. It just made me want to curl up into a ball and cry. This is awful. Move out onto the map. You can take him. You need to put pressure on him or you're just going to get completely destroyed. And he didn't listen to me because I guess it was pre-recorded and I was a continent or two away, and he just got destroyed. But in the second game, he actually played pretty solid. Reality showed unbelievable, unprecedented improvement from the first game to the second game. It really was amazing. The second game, he looked like just some scrub on BattleNet. Or, I'm sorry, the first game he looked like some scrub on BattleNet. And then in the final match to make it to the MSL round of 16, he actually played pretty well. So if he can do that kind of improvement again on top of how he was looking at the end of the last game, if he can do that, maybe if he loses this game, then improve that much, then I think he can beat Jaedong. But nothing short of that unbelievable hop up in skill will save him from Jaedong. Although it must be said that Jaedong's statistically worst matchup is against Terran. That's right, Jaedong only winning a horrible 63% of his games versus Terran. It makes me sad to think about. I mean, 63%, that's not even 2/3. Jaedong, you can do better. I'm joking, of course. It is his worst matchup, but that is still one of the best Zerg versus Terrans in the history of StarCraft. Jaedong Zerg versus Protoss and Zerg versus Zerg just happened to be slightly more unbelievable. And oh, it looks like the drone's trying to trick Reality into thinking that he's up there. Or no, just getting a few shots, and then Reality not seeing the creep and is going to turn around. They are at cross-map positions here on Dante's Peaks, and considering that Reality likes to play in this matchup a little bit passive, that kind of helps him because he like it's a really long distance to put on any pressure, and if he's not the one putting on pressure, it's a lot easier to defend than to attack when you're really far away. Although Jaedong gets around that by just being freaking amazing. So we are seeing the 1-racks into command center coming out from Reality, and third hatchery already from Jaedong. So he actually, in neither of his games versus Shine did he actually come across a standard 3 hatchery build. It was 3 hatchery before pool 1 game and 2 hatchery lair the second game. So this just standard 3 hatchery lair I've never seen him play against. But I gotta say, wait, before I move on any further, Reality, I was saying he needs to get much better. He actually kind of did get much better. I saw him, actually it was yesterday or this morning, or late last night, something like that. I saw him play against Calm, which chronologically took place after this game, but he looked really good in that game. He actually ended up winning that. I caught the last 5 minutes of it, and he was just dominating Calm by that time. So Calm's a great Zerg player, so that certainly gave me hope for this game. I was expecting this matchup to be the least close of all 8 round of 16 matchups. I expected Jaedong to just stomp over Reality, considering he's 2-8 going into this game, but we already know he beats Com, so maybe, just maybe, he can beat Jaedong. Jaedong going in with the Ling and seeing the command center already up, and we're gonna see how well Reality can defend. He did a unbelievably good job defending against Shine's 2 hatchery lair build. He actually defended it to perfection, basically, just textbook. I scouted you're going 2 hatchery spire. I'm gonna prepare against these mutas. I'm gonna have turrets up in time. I'm gonna have a decent medic marine group, and he barely lost anything. He put down a bunch of turrets, yes, but he even protected his barracks, which is a thing that we don't see all Terrans do. And before the mutas are out, he's actually pushing out a little bit and just killing some scouting Zerglings. But I would not guess that Reality would get too adventurous. We see a lot of Terran players, including Flash, actually, just make a huge mistake early game by being too adventurous with their early Medic Marine Force and then getting it crushed by Lings or Mutiling. And I don't expect Reality to have that happen to him at all. So Stim's upgrading, the engineering bay is already up, and +1 is going, very nice. Very standard, but nice nonetheless. And getting a bunker up front, and he's going to start putting down turrets in a little bit, but the spire's almost done, so there's still plenty of time to put up turrets. Getting that bunker, I did say he likes to play passive. This is certainly evidence of that. I don't know if he scouted that it was a spire, not a spirey. Spirey is what mutalists write in every night about their day. Oh, dear spirey, the scourge looked at me, and my heart sank, something like that. No, not a spirey. Not a diary, but a spire. So the spire is up almost now, and those Raxes are actually kind of placed funnily. It's not going to make any difference, but we see pretty much every Zerg play or every Terran player go for them in a square, and they're a little bit of a parallelogram that we're seeing in this game. Not that that matters at all. So Jaedong's going to get 9 mutas out, and we're going to see. We're just going to see, is Reality man enough to deal with. We've seen him deal with 3 hatchery mutas pretty well, but can he deal with Jaedong's 3 hatchery muta, which traditionally are microed a whole tier above everybody else, as Jaedong's mutalist control is just so amazing. There are people who can go muta-micro for muta-micro against Jaedong, but not those who macro as perfectly as he does in the background while he's spending so much time muta-microing. He macros so fast and so well, and like goes back and puts his drones on the minerals so quickly that he just has so much more time to be doing muta-micro than most other Zergs. His mutas are almost never just sitting there idle, and I'm a little bit worried that there's only a couple of turrets up. No, this is terrible for Reality. He's only got 1 turret up, and that one goes down immediately, and only running back with 3 Marines, picking off the SCV, building the turret, and it's almost up. Is he going to be able to finish it? It looks like yes, he is going to be able to finish it, but the top half of his main base is not defended at all. So I was patting Reality on the back for doing a good defense, but actually picking off 1 mutla, so doing not so bad so far this time. Lost a couple SCVs, yes, but if he can pick off those mutas quickly enough to the point where Jaedong has to stop, that'd be great. And it looks like Jaedong is committing pretty heavily to this mutalist harass. He's continuing to rally mutas there so that he can switch out for more healthy ones. And going for a super early hive. Oh, the Jaedong build, I love it. He's already got his Hydralisk den up, but just rushing so hard for the hive, so fast. Jaedong's pretty much the only one who does it because it relies so heavily on having just the best mutalist harass forever, and no one has good enough mutalist harass to actually pull this build off except for Jaedong. So a lot of times Jaedong will go Greater Spire from this and get a bunch of Guardians and wreak havoc with those, and a lot of times he'll just go for the super early Defilers, and Jaedong actually was forced to cancel his 3rd hatchery because he knew he was being that it was really risky to take that 3rd hatchery at the bottom right so early, but he also took one at the top left. Oh, I'm sorry. So 2 lurkers morphing kind of in the middle bottom. I don't really know where those are applicable, but I think Jaedong, I don't know, was he trying to go for 4 bases, 1 at the top left and 1 at the bottom right, and just trusting that one of them would go unscouted? So I think Reality might be under the impression that he's in a much better position than he is. I don't think he knows about the top left, and I think he thinks that he caused the bottom right to cancel, although there's still a drone there and still an SCV there, kind of just hiding in the corner, being like, oh, I hope the other one doesn't see me. That would be terrifying. So two lurkers are going to get up to the top left, and they're going to burrow on the ramp or close to the ramp and make sure that no medic marines are able to get in and do any damage whatsoever. And Jaedong still got all of his Mutalisks, but Reality being uncharacteristically aggressive, Jaedong being forced to kind of have those mutas pretty close to the marines. And God, Reality got much better. Wasn't perfect in dealing with that muta harass, but he's looking pretty good. So Jaedong has gone for Defilers. It's not going to be the Greater Spire. So he's going to have Defilers out, but are they going to have enough time to get up enough energy to cast a Swarm? Because he's not going to have enough time to upgrade Consume unless he can keep these Medic Marines occupied for a really long time with his mutas. But he's going to need some Lings in conjunction with the mutas to be effective against the Terran army, because +1 is upgraded and there's a big thick clump of Marines that Jaedong shouldn't be too comfortable engaging with straight up, and the Science Facility is already up. He almost lost a shine in the final match because he was not able to get a Science Facility up. It was just such a struggle, like a 15-minute struggle just to get the first vessel out, and this is good for him that he's got the vessels out already. And no, he does know about the top left. I'm not exactly sure what was going on in the bottom right, but a Defiler is going to get there in time. Is Consume upgraded though? Consume's going to finish so soon. It finishes around 5 to 15 seconds from now, or 5 to 20 seconds from now. So this is going to be really, really tight on the timing, because Jaedong looked like he went for a little bit earlier of a hive, and yes, he's going to get it. He gets the Dark Swarm up and is able to burrow Lurker, and he's taking a 4th base in the top left natural expansion, so that's going to be awesome for him. And meanwhile, Reality taking a 3rd base too. He's playing really, really well. Wow. Reality showing massive improvement. Let me tell you, he's 2-8 going into this game. I know he's 3-8 otherwise, but that happened after this. 2-8. You would think Reality would be terrible in this matchup, but picking off another Muta, that's really good. And he's got the Vulture Mines, and he's spreading them all over the map to deal some damage to some Lings wandering around too zealously, and getting very early +1 armor, which is really great for dealing with Lings, and very great for dealing with Mutas, and prevents the Lurkers from 2-hitting you until Jaedong decides to go for that upgrade. But unless... Oh, the first Science Vessel, it takes 1 round of shots. It's just at half health, so Jaedong might try to deal with that. But I think Jaedong just realized that, oh no, my Lurkers aren't 2-hitting the Marines. Or actually, they probably did because they were stimmed and the medics didn't have time to heal. But sooner or later, Jaedong's going to realize that those Marines have been +1 armor upgraded, and he's going to realize that he kind of needs +1 spines just to continue to 2-hit the Marines. That's a really important upgrade battle that Jaedong needs to be on top of. But going to pick off the SCV building the 3rd base just before it's able to go up. But luckily, an SCV already on its way. And here comes is that Science Vessel going to be able to get an Irradiate? No, it just floats straight by, so it doesn't get picked off at least, but does not get an Irradiate. And the mutas, the clump of mutas is thinning out, but it's still dealing damage. Jaedong doing so well with these mutas. The primary harass wasn't that great. 3 barracks floating away, so it looks like a complete switch over to mech. Holy crap! A complete switch over to mech coming out for Reality, a style that I've never to this day seen him play, because he's played so few. And what's he gonna do with these barracks? And he's kind of building a command center in a really weird place at the 3 or 4 o'clock. And meanwhile, Jaedong just continuing to macro up. He's on 4 bases. I don't think he knows. I think he now knows about the mech because he was able to scout it with his mutas. But does he know about the 4th base going up already? And Reality's going to have that 3rd base too. I believe that's finished by now. And Reality's going to be in pretty good position. Although, oh, Defiler getting irradiated. Jaedong hasn't killed any vessels yet, and he hasn't done that much damage. Reality got into the late-ish game. Yeah, late-ish. I'm a great commentator. The late-ish game perfectly unscathed, though. Well, not perfectly unscathed, but relatively unscathed. And a Vulture denying a 5th base just sitting there, and the drone ventured up there, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to hide behind the mineral patch. But another Vulture getting a kill. That's nice. And Reality's coming in for a push. He's got nothing but Medic Marines right now, and I think this is the end of the Medic Marine part of the game. He's just going to try to deal as much damage as he can with this. And Plague going off, not a very good play, getting about as many Scourge as he did Medic Marines, although it looks like Reality's actually going to back off because he has nothing that can actually attack under Dark Swarm. And no, what is this? The command center he built, he built it at the 3 o'clock, and he just is going to float it back up. I think he kind of missed when he went to build that. I thought he was going to maybe float that somewhere else, but that didn't really make sense either. So just misplacing his command center. Luckily, he's Terran, and he can remedy that instead of having it stand as a point of embarrassment for the whole game. Scouting barracks all over the map, that helps. And oh, huge mines, 2 mines killing 3 Hydralisks, very, very nice, and almost killing a third, is killing a third, so nice mines by Reality. Even if mines only get 1 kill each, that's still really great. Mines so good. I say this every game I see mines so good. And looks like Jaedong's gonna pick off all of the barracks at the bottom right. Oh no, actually units coming in to reinforce, but there is +1/1 for the Zerg ranged attackers, that +1, so that the lurkers can continue to hit Marines. But now that it's a mech switchover, he's gonna be getting a bunch of Hydralisks to deal with the Vultures and Goliaths, and gonna go back into Mutalisks hopefully to deal with the tanks. And when a Terran's going mech, that's sometimes a really, really good opportunity for the Zerg to go for some greater Spire play, because the Terran can be caught with almost no anti-air. If he's going Vulture tank, he's going to have very, very little anti-air. And oh, vessels getting Scourged. Those are the last 2 vessels that we might see for a long while. That's great by Jaedong, because Reality's either going to have to rely solely on scans to deal with lurkers, if there are lurkers, or he's going to have to sacrifice a couple of tanks to get enough gas saved up to go for or at least another vessel. Very, very nice by Jaedong. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words just a little bit. Ooh, look at that. The comma factories. Oh, there's 2 SCVs stuck in the main. Good for them. So it looks like, is that drop upgrade? Oh boy. Oh, is he gonna be gearing up for a very powerful drop? And Reality's going crazy. He's trying to split the map in half versus a Zerg, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Gonna try to go half map versus Jaedong. If he can pull that off, he will almost certainly win. But Jaedong coming in with a drop. I think he's gonna drop the oh no! Is he going to get picked off? Oh, he's able to get some units out in time, but he loses one of his overlords, loses 2 of the overlords actually, but I think all the units got out of that just okay, and he's going to lose the SCV building the top right, or the bottom right base, and going to lose that base, but we see a big engagement in the middle of the map, lurkers engaging versus tanks in a map, which is a matchup they're traditionally good against, but swarms making the difference there, and Ling's running in, a huge force of Hydralisks actually chasing down the unsieged tanks. Hydralisks do actually pretty good against unsiege tanks as long as they're unsiege, and another Darkstorm going up on them as they just ladder forward, and they're going to get up right into the tanks. If they just move a little bit forward, they could do some mine drags, but no. Oh, was that a plague that went down on a couple of tanks? Might have been. Picking off a vessel again. In reality, he's got, I think, 3 gases right now, so he's got a decent amount of gas, but continually being forced to make vessels, which isn't like a stupid engagement. I think I made it sound kind of like, oh, you don't need vessels, you're going mech, but vessels always an important part. Jaedong doing a really good job of scourging them. A Terran does not want to, or Zerg does not want to let a Terran get his vessel count up, and Jaedong's keeping that vessel count at 0 or 1. Right now it is at 1. But Reality's positioned himself really well. He's got tanks at every base, and he's fortifying this new base. He's taking it the bottom right's natural expansion, because taking it at the main did fail for him a little bit. And Jaedong took the 6 o'clock, the bottom base, and he's going to get that. He's going to start getting that mining ASAP. Meanwhile, Reality's doing really, really well. I'm very impressed by this. I think Reality is a huge up-and-coming player. He's getting a hang of this matchup in no time flat. It wasn't very long ago that he was getting destroyed. He's 2-8 in this matchup going into this game. He lost to some good players, but then he lost to some bad players. He lost to Hojil. He lost to Sulky back when Sulky was awful. Sulky's actually in the round of 16 of the MSL as well. He's been playing off the hook lately, but back a year ago he was terrible. Yeah, And he lost to Shine. Oh, don't want to lose to Shine. All you have to do is wait until the clock hits 10 minutes and you win. But this game already at 19 minutes. Yeah, there's some syncing. 9:06. Bam. Just in case I mess up my syncing. There you go. So it looks like some Goliaths have been produced not because there's any mutas out, but because a lot of drops are happening, and drops right onto the tanks are really, really effective. It looks like he is going for a drop directly onto the tanks. Not enough Goliaths out to destroy those overlords or deter them very much yet, and gonna destroy that bottom right base. Great by Jaedong. Gets lurkers burrowed all across there, and a bunch of links taking out the tanks, and he forces that to lift, but he's got nothing that hits air besides a couple of Hydralisks at this point. Radiating the Defiler, very nice. Is going to get a plague, a huge plague. It's 5-6 tanks and 2 vultures. Very nice plague. There are SCVs there to try to repair, but it's going to take them minutes to repair those tanks. Very nice plague by the dying Defiler. Not really game changing, but certainly if that Defiler was on a deathbed, I couldn't think of anything better it could have done. So it looks like Reality's trying to get in and do some harassment, but there's a bunch of Hydralisks and no drones at that 9 o'clock base, the base in the middle left. And oh, it looks like the upgrade battle is being won by a large margin by Jaedong. He's got 3-2 upgrades to Reality's 0-1 upgrades. And so Reality kind of wasted 200 minerals and 200 gas getting the +1-1 for the Medic Marines, and then deciding to completely switch out of that. I don't think that was his plan. I think he kind of did it on a whim, considering he got the +1 carapace as well for, not carapace, armor as well for the Marines. Usually you don't get that if you're going to switch out into mech. And that command center is going to go down. He needs to get to repair it ASAP. It lifts, but that's not going to help because there's still a Hydralisk. And no! It either burns down or gets picked off by a Hydralisk in midair. Oh, terrible by Reality. He was looking so good in this game, but it looks like it's just starting to slip away from him. Jaedong with such amazing multitasking, doing little pokes and prods all across the map, and Reality just not quite equipped to deal with it. There's still a lurker in the back. Okay, finally getting taken out. I thought that was hidden in the corner actually, but it is not. And it looks like 2-1 actually just finished for Reality. So catching up slowly in the upgrades battle. He's probably got 3-2 going now, and if he can get that 3-3 mech army, that is so tough for Zergs to deal with. It's just really tough to survive long enough to actually get to that point in that game. And I can't see any upgrades anymore because of that thing streaming across the bottom. Curse you, Skylife. And thank you for sponsoring esports. I'm so awkward. So tanks getting plagued, but dealing a lot of damage against the Hydralisk. Yeah. Usually you don't want to engage Hydralisks versus tanks, but Jaedong is making it work. Although I'd like to see a Mutalisk tech switch from him. He's got the Spire, he's got the hatcheries to produce them out of, obviously, and there are very few Goliaths out on the field. There's a couple of vessels that he'd have to deal with, but he could pick those off pretty quickly. And tanks and vultures die to mutas pretty, like, if I could get you the Prima strategy guide and tell you what the counters are, you would see that Mutalisks are pretty good against pretty good countering tanks and vultures. But Hydralisks actually, are they going to be able to take out those tanks, doing a lot of damage, and is it going to be able to finish it? I don't think so. But here's a larger clump of tanks, but they're going to get dropped all on top of, and the mine drag's happening as well, but Ling's just catapulting onto the tanks and taking them out so quickly. Jaedong's doing really good with these drops, making great use of Zergling bombs, and just not just bombs so the tanks splash each other, but also to pick off the tanks as well, and is assailing this base at the bottom, or the bottom right, bottom middle. But it looks like Jaedong has this. Jaedong scourging Reality's vessels. Didn't clone it properly. Looks like he had 3 on one and only 1 on the other. So one does survive at half health. And Jaedong actually unable to break out of that. It looks like he tried to commit a bunch of resources to breaking out of that, but was unable to. And another Overlord coming in. I don't know if there's anything inside. It's kind of alone, so everything in it dying if it was filled up. Although I don't think it was. And Lings and Hydralisks running in, but there are too many tanks for them to be able to get to effectively. And the units in front of them blocking very effectively for the tanks. Good Goliaths, good Vultures, keeping those tanks safe for the time being. And look at that 12-kill tank. All those tanks probably have quite a few kills, and is he going to be able to kill that hatchery? I didn't think that this was actually going to happen, but it looks like Reality's going to be able to take out that hatchery, and is Reality making a comeback in this game? His economy got so much higher than most Terrans are allowed to get to on against Jaedong. Jaedong usually does a really good job of keeping the Terran in his base and passive, but Reality able to take the 11:30, 12 o'clock base at the top, and okay, here comes the giant muta tech switch from Jaedong, and he got +2 carapace on it. I think he was just waiting for the tech switch, but an irradiate going out, perfect split by Jaedong, taking the one irradiated muta out of there perfectly. And there's only a couple of Goliaths and a couple of turrets actually for Jaedong, but he's going to be able to deal with that handily. Equal upgrades for the Goliaths and for the Mutalisks, so there's no advantage from Reality there. Did he actually upgrade 3-2? I don't think he ever found the time to do that. I think he just paused on 2-1. So this tech switch being really effective, and Reality's throwing up so many turrets, but Jaedong's taking them out at a quicker rate. But will he? More mutas coming in. I think he's finally going to be able to start picking off the tanks, and once he destroys this entire tank force, that's pretty much it for Reality, because it takes so long to reproduce such a large and powerful force. And all the SCVs are trying desperately to throw up turrets, turret carcasses littering the floor, but tanks are blowing up really quickly now. Reality just barely holding on. Is he going to be able to, after all these tanks is he going to be able to hold on? Those Goliaths and that turret are just hammering away at the tanks, or at the mutas, but the mutas know their mission. It is right now to kill the tanks, and he does. He kills every single tank. Very nice tech switch by Jaedong. Very effective, killing every single tank, which is so worth it, because it's going to take... Jaedong can reproduce that Mutaforce instantaneously, basically. No! Oh, wow, that was really, really close, actually. Ling's dropping off on the tanks at the 12 o'clock. And meanwhile, mutas are attacking up at the 12 o'clock too. Isn't going to be able to do any damage there, perhaps, but forcing the bottom right. Was that empty? Were those overlords empty, and he just like floated over there, and Reality decided to lift? That might actually be the case. Although it looks like those Lings dropped out and attacked the top, the bottom right natural. No, yeah, that wasn't empty. I thought Jaedong just totally punked Reality, tricked him, but that did not help. And oh, Jaedong actually losing a base, and the base that was getting sieged by the units at the 12 o'clock. I didn't even realize that he had taken that base until I saw its carcass. But once that 12 o'clock is sieged up and protected, it is very hard to break out. And oh, Jaedong! Jaedong going for queens! I think Jaedong, Jaedong's such a baller. I've been doing my best to over-represent Reality's chances in this game, but once he lost those 12 tanks, he's been way behind with barely a chance in this game. He really needed to keep all of that together, all of that alive, and do one really huge maxed doom push, but now that he lost most of his forces, Jaedong's got control of this game, and the queens are going to be able to come in, and they can do whatever they want. They can parasite whatever they want. They can broodling the tanks. They can broodling SCVs if they choose to. Broodling in tanks is actually very nice. It's very cost effective. Broodling in SCVs is the kind of economic harassment you do when you're way ahead. So Jaedong being a complete pimp baller, going for queens. I think as soon as Reality sees those queens, he might realize just how far behind he is in this game, and GG. But there's so many possibilities. I'm so excited by the possibilities. Is Jaedong going to get an infested command center? Are we going to see infested Terrans in this game? It certainly is a possibility. And although there's 9 turrets there, or almost 9 turrets, Jaedong's going in with all air units anyway, but getting enough overlords in to drop a bunch of cracklings and throwing up a Darkstorm. Actually, that's the first Darkstorm we've seen in a little while. And all those queens are just sitting in the corner building up energy, and they've got so much energy by now. Are they going to be able to, or what are they going to do once Jaedong decides to engage them? I think he's going to broodling every single tank and Goliath, and he's got vision of the tanks and Goliaths, and he can just clone it perfectly. If he wants to right now, but instead he's just running in with Lings. He says, oh, I've got swarms. I think I can just clean up this attack without using my it's counterintuitive, but queens are extremely manly. Sorry if that confused you. Oh, the last tank just gets killed by Zerglings. No. So the 12 o'clock is listed. The bottom right has been constantly sailed. The bottom right's natural expansion is constantly been sailed. There's like the inter bottom right, the third base that you might take if you were Terran, if you were at the bottom right. There's so many. I actually like Dante's Peaks because there's so many bases on this map, although it is getting a little hard to describe which base I'm actually talking about. But Reality is not doing a lot of mining at this point, and Jaedong, do something with your queens before this game ends. Oh, all those Zerglings dying to a single mine, and no Plague being able to go off for that Defiler before it gets killed by Tank Splash. So are we? I think the biggest question remaining is, are we going to see the queens before this game is over? And here they come. Oh my god, he's going to Broodling every single tank. And oh my god, he can't even pick off the Broodlings. Oh, Broodling's doing Mind Drags. No, not working out. And he actually didn't even kill every tank. He just spawned Broodling a couple of them, letting Reality politely know that I'm here and I'm coming for you. So now Reality has to be very, very careful not to get humiliated by getting a command center infested. And here come more queens in to Broodling the tanks now. They get one, they get two, and Broodling bombs. The Broodlings causing the tanks to splash the Goliaths. Very, very nice. And gets the last two tanks defending the bottom right base. So he is going to be able to take that out. Broodling's kind of sitting there. Go attack something, Broodlings. You can do it. But is he going to have a queen handy? That base is in the yellow. Once it gets down there, below half health, is it going to be able to get infested? There's queens right above it. No, it gets destroyed. How could you? How could you, Jaedong? You were supposed to infest that command center, but it did not happen. And EMPing the queens. What? Oh my god, we almost never see EMP in Terran versus Zerg, but there it is, EMPing the queens. Not getting all of them though, and this game is just completely out of Reality's hands at this point. He's got almost no mining left, and I think GG's going to come soon. He loses the bottom right natural expansion, and the only base that I see mining for him right now, I don't know if he was able to land his command center at the 12 o'clock again. He's still the bottom right. That's kind of like his last mining base, and that's been constantly harassed so many times. It's lifted a couple of times. It was denied once. Yeah, that 12 o'clock is still lifted, so this is his only mining base. As soon as it goes down, I think this game is going to be over, but is it going to go down or is it going to get infested? No, he just destroys it too quickly. Jaedong, you don't know how to humiliate your opponent. You're supposed to infest their command centers. Darn it, Jaedong. So anyway, yeah, the observer's just popping around the map and showing that Reality's mined out at basically every other base that he holds at this point. So I don't know exactly what's keeping Reality in this game other than sheer desperation. But it has to be said, Reality played very well in this game. He showed us a better game than most Terrans would in his position. It was close at a bunch of points. It hasn't been close for about 10 minutes, and I think everybody in the world but Reality realizes that. But there were points where it was looking a little bit scary for Jaedong, that Reality was going to protect his forces well enough to go out and do a massive doom push. But that is not the case. And there's GG finally coming out from Reality, just never able to get a huge force up. And Jaedong actually shaking his head like, I could have done better. I didn't get any infested Terrans out in this game. Come on. So Jaedong doesn't actually look very happy with that win, but taking that game handily. So Jaedong is going to go 1-0. The games 2 and 3, if necessary, will be played in a little bit, but the MSL does, of course, this tradition where they play game 1 of everything before they start playing the game 2s. The next video that you will see is going to be Huck versus Calm game 1. Hyuk, not Huck. Huck is a StarCraft 2 player. Hyuk versus Calm game 1. So I hope you stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in that game. GG.